Divine Grace, Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajapacharya Ashtotra Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Nishamya Pitaram Lokanam Prapitamaham Devarshih Paripapracha Bhavanyan Manuprachate Tushtam Nishamya Pitaram Lokanam Prapitamaham Devarshih Paripracha Bhavan Yanmanu Prachati Tushtam Nishamya Pitaram Devarshi Paripapracha Bhavan Yanmanu Prachati
Tushtam Nishamya Pitaram Lokanam Prapitamaham Devarshi Paripapracha Bhavan Yanmanu Prachati
Tushtam Nishamya Pitaram Lokanam Prapitamaham Devarshi Paripapracha Bhavan Yanmanu Prachati
Satisfied. Nishamya. After seeing. Pitaram. The Father. Lokanam. Of the whole universe. Prapitamaham. The great grandfather. Devarshi. The great sage Narada. Paripapracha. Inquire. Bhavan. Yourself. Yat. As it is. Ma. From me. Anuprachati. Inquiring. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The great sage Narada also inquired in detail from his father Brahma, the great grandfather of all the universe, after seeing him well satisfied. Please repeat the translation. The great sage Narada also inquired in detail from his father Brahma the great process of understanding spiritual or transcendental knowledge from the realized person is not exactly like asking an ordinary question from the schoolmaster. The schoolmasters in the modern days are paid agents for giving some information, but the spiritual master is not a paid agent, nor can he impart instruction without being authorized. In Bhagavad Gita, the process of understanding transcendental knowledge is directed as follows. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Arjuna was advised to receive transcendental knowledge from the realized person by surrender, questions and service. Receiving transcendental knowledge is not like exchanging dollars. Such knowledge has to be received by service to the spiritual master. As Brahmaji received the knowledge directly from the Lord by satisfying him fully, similarly one has to receive the transcendental knowledge from the spiritual master by satisfying him. The spiritual master's satisfaction is a means of assimilating transcendental knowledge. One cannot understand the transcendental knowledge simply by becoming a grammarian. The Vedas declare, Yasya Devai Parabhaktir Yata Deve, that between the disciple and the spiritual master is eternal. One who is now the disciple is next the spiritual master. And one cannot be a bona fide and authorized spiritual master unless one has been strictly obedient to his spiritual master. Brahmaji, as a disciple of the Supreme Lord, received the real knowledge and imparted it to his dear disciple Narada. And similarly, Narada, as spiritual master, handed over this knowledge to Vyasa and so on. Therefore, the so-called formal spiritual master and disciple are not facsimiles of Brahma and Narada or Narada and Vyasa. The relationship between Brahma and Narada is reality, while the so-called formality is the relationship between the cheater and cheated. It is clearly mentioned herewith that Narada is not only well-behaved, meek and obedient, but also self-controlled. One who is not self-controlled, specifically in sex life, can become neither a disciple nor a spiritual master. One must have disciplinary training in controlling speaking, anger, the tongue, the mind, the belly and the genitals. One who has controlled the particular senses mentioned above is called a Goswami. Without becoming a Goswami, one can become neither a disciple nor a spiritual master. The so-called spiritual master without sense control is certainly the cheater, and the disciple of such a so-called spiritual master is the cheated. One should not think of Brahmaji as a dead great-grandfather as we have experienced on this planet. He is the oldest great-grandfather and he is still living. And Narada is also living. The age of the inhabitants of Brahmaloka is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. The inhabitants of this small planet Earth can hardly calculate even the duration of one day of Brahma. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Tushtam Nishamya Pitaram Lokanam Prapitamaham Devarshi Paripapracha Bhavani Manu Pritchati. The great sage Narada also inquired in detail from his father Brahma, the great grandfather of all the universe, after seeing him well satisfied. So as we all know, Srimad Bhagavatam itself defines what is the nature of Srimad Bhagavatam. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam shukamukat amrata drava samyutam pibata bhagavata rasamalayam moraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. So it's a very, very refined piece of knowledge. The most refined piece of knowledge. Jai Shri Krishna Gauranga. So, in anything, any substance, any activity, its quality develops when it is more and more refined. Just like I can also say, I also sing. Yes, I also sing. A professional singer, he also sings. There's a lot of difference. Right? I also give a class. Everybody, some very nice. Shukadev Goswami also gives a class. When I also give a class, people come and sit. People listen. They will nod their head and go. But somebody like Shukadev Goswami comes and gives a class. The same subject, the same material. But in terms of quality, there is a huge difference. Like we say, Dalitam Phalam Shukamukhat Amrita Drava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavata Rasamalayam Muka Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka. Even great transcendental people, when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, it's transcendental knowledge. It's not knowledge of this material world. It's knowledge of a divine realm. And there are people who are situated in that divine realm, who are transcendental in nature. So they are already transcendental situation. Like for example, for us to feel transcendental, because we are all sadhaka platform. So we come in the morning, we attend Mangalarti, we chant our rounds, we attend Guru Puja, we hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So if we follow this pattern, then we feel, wow, today I'm feeling nice, I'm feeling spiritually complete. Supposing I don't do my morning sadhana nicely, my consciousness will be very low, right? I will not feel proper, there's no clarity in the mind. But when I do a nice sadhana, I feel transcendentally awakened. That is the level of a sadhaka. It is acceptable. It is what it is. But there is a certain segment of people who are not dependent on personal endeavor to come to this platform. Like for example, there is an endeavor. We have to make effort to wake up in the morning early and then come attend. There is shrama, there is effort that we put in to develop certain transcendental feelings. It doesn't come out on its own. We have to make effort, right? In anything, we have to do effort. Without effort, nothing will come. We have to put lot of effort. But there are a certain segment of people, without even putting the effort, they are naturally situated in that consciousness. Things happen by itself. So they really don't require for us, like, Prabhu, I want to hear class, then I will feel very nice. Somebody has to come and give a nice class. I hear some good katha, I hear some very nice tattva. So that will spiritually inspire me, and that will act as a boost for my consciousness. We want that, right? All of us are looking forward. When we meet new devotees, when we come to the temple in the early morning, we want that. It's like our dopamine kick, right? When we watch a reel, what is happening in the body? The dopamine is being released. We find wow. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. We keep getting some release of dopamine, and that gives us, some kind of a satisfaction. When we feel hungry, we want to eat food that will give us satisfaction. So, but there is a certain segment of people who don't require this kind of an external impetus to make them get their transcendental happiness. They are naturally situated. Tushtam nishamya pitaram. They are already in the platform of tushta. They are already self-satisfied. But even those people who are situated in that platform, Bhagavatam is saying, Bhuvika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. They are already in the platform of Bhava, but yet when they hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Shuka Muni, Shukamukad Amrita Drava Samyutam. But when they hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Shuka Muni's mouth, from his lips uttering the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then they feel a special kind of a surge in spiritual impetus. Because the person Shuka Muni is very special. The way he presents this transcendental knowledge will somehow, it will even impress even the topmost level of devotees. That's the nature of great devotees, great Mahajanas like Shukadeva Goswami. So, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, understanding Srimad Bhagavatam, the most important aspect of that is about from whom we hear. That's what will create that awakening. It's not just the katha per se. Like for example, in the material world, dry material knowledge, the importance of the person speaking that knowledge is not so very great. It is the knowledge which is more important rather than the person who is speaking that knowledge. Just like, for example, we can get, today you don't even require a physical teacher. Right? Earlier in our school days we needed somebody, but today most of them are learning through internet and all those things, and it is doing the level of knowledge that the internet is able to provide is far greater than any physical person can provide, because internet has access to a vast quantity of knowledge. It is networked. It is networked to millions of servers, and from those servers, within nanoseconds, it is getting information and giving us the output. human person, a human may not be able to grasp that kind of knowledge in such a short time. It takes from one X point to Y point, we want to move. Krishna has given us this organ called legs, and with the use of these legs we move. But then now modern civilization has said, no, these legs, he's got a limited ability to move from point X to point Y. So man decided that no, this is too slow. So let's create a machine. Now he created a car, he created a wheel. From wheel came another. And today evolution has come to this level that we have got super fast ways of moving places. So now the machine is so fast. We cannot machine is so fast. We cannot compete, our legs cannot compete with a car. In just 5 seconds it will hit 100 kilometers per hour. Whereas our legs cannot do such kind of speed activities. So, but does that mean that human beings have become irrelevant? No. But if it continues in this pattern, then many times we have heard that how modern civilization says as material thinking and material civilization develops, we will see that the importance, the role of the human element will start reducing more and more. What does that indicate? It indicates, because ultimately the idea of human, the idea of a person is what? It is Jivatma. The idea of a person is, he is a spiritual person. There is something spiritual in that entity. So material civilization, the way in which it is progressing, always thinking in terms of materially progressing, which means the spiritual aspects are reducing day by day. It is coming down. There is no element of spiritual thought. There is no element of the spiritual process. Everything has become a material process, not driven by a spiritual process. So, here in this particular verse, you can see that the great sage Narada, the verse is saying that the great sage Narada also inquired in detail from his father, Brahma, the great grandfather of the universe, after seeing him well satisfied. You can see Lord Narada is receiving knowledge from Lord Brahma. So this receiving knowledge from Brahma, Narada had to satisfy Brahma. Satisfying Brahma means Narada has to somehow make Lord Brahma happy, and when Lord Brahma becomes happy, then Brahma will give knowledge to Narada. There is a great lesson for all of us in this relationship. Because what is happening in the material world is everything is transactional. In the current idea of material world is everything is transactional. Material transaction. What is the meaning of material transaction? Now, if you want happiness, what is the calculation in the material world right now? If I want to be satisfied in this world, then I need money. Money you need. Why? Because we feel that money will buy happiness. Money will enable, money is an enabler for me to get happiness. And our idea of happiness is what? Good house, good car, good things to eat. All these things, if you see, are sensual in nature. So money will enable my sensual happiness. With money, I can get all these things. With power, I will be able to get all these things. With position, I will be able to get all these things. By status, I will be able to get all these things. And the problem is, with none of these, you will get happiness. With none of these, you will get satisfaction. So, modern society is constantly striving. Okay, you got money. With money, you didn't get happiness. Okay, that's because you didn't get power. So, somebody who has got money, who's already got money, you can see them running after power. Because now they have money, but they don't have power. So they'll run after power. Who you have money and power, then still you are suffering, still you are feeling unsatisfied. Okay, you run after this. So if you see the loop, all the dots are only material in nature. Because the real thing is none of these material aspects. It is spiritual in nature. So that person is spiritual. Brahma's position as knowledge giver is a spiritual position. Shukadev Goswami's quality of speaking is because of his spiritually elevated position. That spiritually elevated position is what is actually giving joy to us. Is actually giving joy to us. Not the materially driven position or ability or any kind of things. So, Prabhupada is in the purport saying that it is not like giving some information, from where we read that. See here, Prabhupada is saying this. The process of understanding spiritual or transcendental knowledge from the realized person is not exactly like asking an ordinary question from the schoolmaster. The schoolmasters in the modern days are paid agents for giving some information. But the spiritual master is not a paid agent, nor can he impart instruction without being authorized. That means this spiritual knowledge you cannot get by transaction. Material world, you're always trying to think I can get by transaction. Whereas this knowledge is not transactional in nature. Actually, while doing our service, while engaged in our service as devotees, as full-time missionaries, we should be aware of this. Sometimes when we are doing preaching, because of our conditioning, of our material conditioning, we become transactional in nature. Whether while dealing one-on-one with another devotee, sometimes we become transactional. Or while dealing with trying to collect donations, trying to preach even so-called Krishna consciousness, we become transactional in nature. And when we become transactional in nature, neither are we satisfied, nor the person with whom we are trying to relate to or to engage with, that person also is not satisfied. He starts seeing through this thing. He starts seeing that, because in the material world everybody is transactional. All material relationships are transactional. Father, mother, brother, sister, wife, husband, everything is a transaction. You do for me, I will do for you. You do for this, I will do this. You give me this, I will give you that. So it's very transactional in nature. So sometimes, because of our material conditioning, we forget the element, the personal aspect of a relationship, and we start dealing it very transactionally. And then we realize that things are very incomplete, things are not very fulfilling. The person is also not happy, because when we give these kind of things, when we go and meet people and we tell, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, I'll give you that, you do like this, that person starts thinking very transactionally. Of course, in the material world, sometimes the other person may not be ready for a personal exchange of spiritual feelings and emotions. But we, as preachers, when we are engaging, we must not forget that my spiritual engagement with that person should still be maintained. Although that person may not be able to relate to us spiritually because of his level of consciousness, but we should maintain the spiritual level of dealing with people. Otherwise, we have to face karmic consequences. Because in a transactional relationship, karma plays its role. So, Prabhupada in this purport is saying that it is only a very highly qualified person only who should take up the role of Guru. Prabhupada is saying, one who is not self-controlled in sex life can neither become a disciple nor a spiritual master. One must have disciplinary training in controlling speaking, anger, the tongue, the mind, the belly and the genitals. You see, when Prabhupada is saying you should control your sex life, you should have control over your speaking, anger, tongue, mind, belly, genitals, because these are all sensual in nature. And sensual things are transactional in nature. That kind of a person cannot establish spiritual relationships. So, the so-called spiritual master without sense control is certainly the cheater, and the disciple of so-called spiritual master is the cheated. Prabhupada is saying here. So when we are trying to perform our Krishna conscious services, we must be aware of our position, of our level, and accordingly behave. we must not forget our spiritual and material positions. Always. We must always remember where do I stand. जैसे कि sometimes we say, हाँ, छोटी मुंह बड़ी बात नहीं. We must not speak big stuff until and unless you are in that position. We must recognize where we stand and accordingly behave. We may have knowledge. We can speak the highest knowledge. Because if you, in Krishna consciousness, with a little bit of reading, we will be able to speak the highest, most powerful knowledge that is existing. You may have the knowledge, but to get the authority to speak that knowledge is a different ball game altogether. So when we speak to people, we must be careful how we are able to present this topmost knowledge. So this topmost knowledge to present by Krishna conscious development and maturity, we get the authority to speak. Without proper maturity, our knowledge will not have that dam. It will not have that strength. Dam nahi rahega. It will not be effective in real terms. So always, just like a new bhakta, sometimes, when he joins Krishna consciousness, he has got all knowledge and he keeps on blah, 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 he keeps on going. But somebody who is a little mature devotee, we know that this is not anything big thing, right? We all know. A new bhakta who comes, he gets that whole thing and then he, like a tape recorder, like this, he starts speaking. But because there is no depth, it doesn't last long. Depth comes from all these things. Depth comes from, see, Prabhupada is saying that he has to become totally situated. That's why we say, Galitam Phalam. Shukadeva Goswami had depth. And because of the depth, that knowledge is so powerful. Is so powerful. So, as sadhakas, we must always pray to Krishna, pray to Mahaprabhu to give us that internal strength to preach their mission. And recognize that when somebody senior to us or somebody better than us, we immediately recognize that, not become envious, not become jealous. Okay, he is there and his practice of spiritual life is a little more deeper. So I want to learn from him. Sometimes what we do when we see that somebody is doing, we put him down. That is a action born out of envy. These are all our weaknesses, our past conditioning is making us act like this. So we must try and come out of that kind of conditioning through knowledge, through repeated hearing and shravanam and kirtanam. Through repeated hearing, we correct our consciousness. We refine our consciousness. We keep on refining. How? Like for example, when you refine, you take some liquid which is contaminated, you keep making it pure. You can go on. How much pure you can make it? First it will be fully muddy, then you keep filtering it, then it becomes very nice. In any filtering process which is there in the modern world, they keep on refining it. Then you get the final good thing. How metal is extracted. I remember I am going to Bilai steel plant and seeing that steel plant. Mud, that is. What they get the iron, what you see, it is mud. Regular red color mud. And I was shocked. And that is becoming steel. But from that mud to steel, huge process is there. That mud is coming in one place, and from there it's coming, then it is done. So many processes are there. Then it becomes that solid iron, steel. Whole building is standing on that. But can we imagine? I used to think it is stone and that stone becomes steel. In my childhood I used to think like that. But I am seeing iron ore is not some stone. It is a mud. From there it is extracted little by little. First time I saw that, I was shocked. Oh, this is what it is. So, we have to, we are all in that kind of a level. Let us work on ourselves to make ourselves more and more refined. Prabhupada always said, all of us also, we must not become upstarts. That's why Prabhupada says one of the qualifications for our spiritual life is to remain always meek and humble. When we remain meek and humble, we will be able to receive knowledge, we will be able to receive guidance. Krishna, Mahaprabhu likes this quality of a person's, that when he is meek and humble, he is like a sponge. And a sponge means it can absorb and retain water. When we are already in the platform of I already know, what should I learn from you? There is no chance for us to grow. No matter how many years we are, no matter how much success we have achieved in our preaching, always we pray to Krishna that let me remain meek and humble. These are ornaments for a devotee. A devotee is beautiful not by his looks, not by the makeup that he has. A devotee is beautiful by how much meek and humble. That is his ornaments. That is his abhushana. So we develop those traits and remain meek and humble and pray to Krishna to engage us in the service of our spiritual master by preaching Krishna consciousness to the best of our ability. That's why Prabhupada is quoting here in this verse, the famous verse of Vishvetaswara Upanishad, wherein he is saying, Yasya deve parabhaktir yata deve tata guru. Tasyaita katita yarta prakashante mahatmanaha. Only unto one who has unflinching devotion to the Lord and to the spiritual master does transcendental knowledge become automatically revealed. Such relationship between the disciple and the spiritual master is eternal. We'll stop here if there's any question, comments. Yeah.
Just like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yeta mam prapadyante. So as we surrender, we reciprocate. So this also sounds little transactional, even though money is not involved. Just like as you mentioned also, when we serve to Prabhupada and Krishna, they reveal us knowledge also. So how to understand these things? It's not
Actually, ye tamam prabhadyante tam tadaiva bhajamiham. Although it is sounding transactional, actually it is not. Why? Basically because Krishna is respectful. Krishna is respectful to your desires. Krishna wants to give himself to you. You are a transaction. You say, no, I want only money. I want only position. I want only power. And Krishna says, okay, that's because you want. Krishna says, I want to give myself to you. But you say, no, I want only money. I want only this. So Krishna is saying, because you want that, what can I do? I will deal with you like that. Ye tamam prapadyante tam. What is prapadye? Prapadye means what? What you are asking. So Krishna is saying, I will relate with you to what you are asking.
Like respecting your privacy, not getting into too much of
Too much. Krishna doesn't want to अपने ऊपर तोपना नहीं चाहते. फिर वो लगे, तुमको क्या लगेगा? अरे यार ये मेरे पीछे पड़ गया. Sometimes people ask, no, sometimes we go and ask for donations also. Yeah, you people are behind us now.
Even devotee बनाने के पीछे पड़ गए.
Sometimes we go and speak also. So Krishna is saying, I don't want to become Badnaam. The Lord is saying, just imagine, the Lord is saying, मुझे बदनाम नहीं बनना भैया. What to do? So foolish we are actually. It is not, Krishna is so magnanimous, but as living entities, we tell Krishna, I want limited Krishna. Krishna is saying, I am unlimited Krishna, I will give you unlimitedly. No, तुम limit में रहो.
Like true and folk by nice example.
Like people say this, no, limited Krishna. You keep Krishna, don't keep Krishna's flute. To that degree it has become. If you keep the flute, then Krishna will take away everything with that flute. Many, it's going on, so many people are speaking like this. I'll tell you one incident. In Nagpur, one family I know. So I went to their house. They are devotees of Krishna. So one day I went to their house.
Flute is not there.
No. Then they told me, Prabhuji, I have one request. I have what? In their house, one very beautiful Krishna is there. Brass, big one. Very big one. Nice it is, very beautiful, very expensive thing. So they told me, many times I have gone, so they came and told me, Prabhu, we want to give off you this thing, Krishna. I was shocked.
Why?
Why they want to give this beautiful Krishna to me? So, anyway, I was very happy to receive it. But they told, I'll give you this thing. So then I asked, क्यों आप पूजा करते हैं ना उसको क्यों? Then they told me, some astrologer came and told it to them that you don't keep this Krishna Murti here like this. It is they were little bit in their business, some suffering has happened, some losses they have incurred. So they have contacted, and that astrologer advised them to give away this Krishna.
No, Krishna.
Just imagine,
They are saying, oh Krishna.
what is this? What's happening? And I immediately told, give it.
1 lakh, 2 lakhs, so give it some very
Big one, it's
expensive
some
value.
2-3 lakh rupees, I think that one. I bought it and I nicely kept it in my office. So you see how
2004 I was there in Bangalore, chanting 16 on. So I got offer from US University going there. They said, 16 on only chanting, why you want to go to US? At least we will not get prasadam, we will have some. So Prabhu, I want to go to Goloka, Vaikuntha, but on the way I want to enjoy heavenly pleasures also.
So you see this kind of a thing we keep on, like see sometimes,
So Krishna fulfilled event.
we keep repeatedly seeing all these things. When we are preaching in the community, we can see these kind of things. Like, sometimes I am not a very good person who can control my feeling. If I feel something, I will, on the face, I will tell off something. So sometimes somebody comes like this, some congregation, or somebody tells like this, we are not able to, it's not good habit, but sometimes I tell them, tu nalayak hai bhai, kya kar raha hai? So people get upset, why they make these kind of
One can
decisions.
be rude, devotees cannot be diplomatic.
Yeah, we cannot, it's very sad. Like what you are saying, for some little thing, they will go here, there. Their entire Krishna consciousness will be finished. Because after all of us are still not fixed in our devotional service. No, we are very new to Krishna consciousness. Our Shraddha is Komala. We are having very Komal Shraddha. So, retaining that strength in Krishna consciousness without association, daily hearing Krishna Katha and all those things, without prasadam, very difficult to maintain our consciousness. It is not easy. Maya is so powerful. It is so powerful. It will just take us away.
Jump where we don't even know.
Just like, youngsters, when they stay with their mother, father, they are protected. But the youngsters, they'll be praying, when I'll get away from this house. Because the father, mother are irritating, no? Because they block them in so many ways.
Get up in the morning.
So many things. So they are waiting when I can become independent. But that independence is actually dangerous. Many years back when I was in college, I have a habit of reading books. That in those times, we used to read novels. I still remember that. There's one novel, one writer, she's a Nobel 1920s or early 19th century. She had written I forgot the book's name. Her name was Perles Buck. She's a Nobel laureate in literature. I remember reading one book of hers in which they are writers. They write very beautifully, like how Shakespeare and all those things. Very nicely they write. So in that she was saying that how from the sky, the description she is giving, from the sky there are shooting stars. Right? Now the shooting stars thinks I am becoming independent, it is falling down. But ultimately, very soon, whatever power of light she had, is over. It's gone, it's finished. That shooting star had the ability of light as long as it was attached to the star. But as soon as it separated from the star, all its energy is lost. For that brief moment, she had that shooting star had an identity. Oh, see, I am having my own presence, I am having my own light. But all that light is completely gone. That's why Krishna Buliya Ji Bhoga Vancha Kare Nikatastha Maya Japati Adare. When we forget Krishna, we are finished. We are no more existing. So even if it is painful, even if it is difficult, we stay connected to our Krishna conscious roots. Not give up and run. But that's the general tendency. Okay? Srila Prabhupada ki.